Now moving on, Russian affairs expert Fred Weir is joining us live from Moscow. Fred, thank you for joining us. How do you assess the military operation ordered by President Putin, and what options does this leave Ukraine with? Ukrainian president for now has imposed martial law across Ukraine.
Well, we're deep in the fog of war already. It's clear that diplomacy is dead and that it now depends on what Russia's intentions or war objectives may be. Putin said last night that they intend to destroy the Ukrainian army, but not to occupy Ukraine. What it looks like, and what I mean, it's very early days, but I've been talking to some people. It seems to me that the idea is something like what the Americans call a war of regime change. And the playbook is rather similar. They've started with missile strikes and airstrikes aimed at destroying military infrastructure, command and control, disrupting forces. They may try to surround the Ukrainian army in the Donbass and to take perhaps some strategic points, but not to occupy the country. If that would also be, I mean, they've obviously learned a lot from watching the Americans over the past 20 years. Right. And another thing they could learn is that you can defeat a country and you can change its government, but if you think you can occupy it for a long time and transform it into something else, you're badly mistaken. Right. I hope the Russians have been taking notes about that as well.
Right.
But for now, we just have to wait and see how it goes on.
Absolutely. But how do you assess the role of the United States and other Western allies? Calls for diplomacy and condemnation have failed to yield any concrete results here, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, people will be disputing for years to come whether Putin intended that the diplomatic process should yield results, and that I mean, they submitted treaties, they asked for security guarantees, they had legitimate demands on the West, on NATO, but was that all a charade leading up to invasion, or is this invasion or this attack a sign of frustration with diplomacy and moving over to a plan B? I don't know the answer to that, but we're definitely in plan B territory now, and I don't think there is any hope for diplomacy. Right. I also sincerely doubt that whatever sanctions are leveled on Russia won't make the slightest bit of difference. We're talking about Russian strategic priorities here, decided by Putin. No amount of economic pain is going to change that.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, I was just going to come to that, but let's talk about it now. President Zelensky has sought assistance from President Joe Biden and other allies. What sort of assistance then can we expect, and how effective? You've already mentioned this actually. Would sanctions prove to be on Russia? If not that, what else can we expect?
The only other thing they can do is send military supplies. They've already ruled out any direct military intervention to aid Ukraine. No boots on the ground, as it were. So Ukraine is alone against the Russian army in this situation. The Ukrainian government is in peril. I think that they might still make some moves. I mean, I hate to use the word surrender, but that's an option. They could sue for terms directly between Moscow and Kiev. I don't otherwise know what political result the Russians are looking for. I'm going to be asking around. I guess it's regime change. I guess they want a new government in Kiev, one that understands Russia's interests, understands that whatever Ukraine wants to be. Right. And I don't think the Russians care whether it's democratic or, this or that. I think they care about its geopolitical orientation, and that they should understand that they cannot strategically offend their big neighbor.
Right. Mr. Fred Weir, thank you so much for joining us with all your inputs on this.